I address my question to Giovanni and Sara because I still have in mind this idea that an artist facing his work has to decide how it is and how it can be received by an audience. So he's looking for not a length but a form, yes. Shorter, longer, ideal size. And I don't know if the film director feels himself quite free to decide it, or it's in a way forced by the rule of the market, by the rule of tradition. So when we're talking nowadays to the big cinematic revolution, I really don't know if it involves also the question of the perfect format of his work or not.
No, I think I already said it. The most important is the choice. Is you choose what you want, and the second is to keep the microphone. There is a very great experimental director in Italy, which was Alberto Griffi, that once said to me, it was enthusiastic about the idea that soon will exist enormous memories, hard disks that can keep a film for 20 years. You can shoot a piano sequenza. How do you say piano sequenza in English?
Piano sequence.
Piano sequence for 1 year, for 2 years, and so you can really. He did. I don't know if you know him. He did a very great movie in the 70s. The first not digital video movie in Italy, in the world, which was Anna. And he said, if you shoot a piano sequence of 2, 3 years, 10 years in the future, then you can see your life again and see how you are bad, what you think, what you say is the opposite of what you do. So, I mean, the very important thing is the conceptual idea. You can do any kind of length, any kind of... the important is that there is a good reason to do that. I think the cinema, art in general, is a relationship between me and you, me maybe a group of people and an audience, but it's that relationship. And that relationship has to be true. Then everything can be fiction or not fiction, play, station or anything, even commercial. But that's the problem we have is not technologies and reality. I think the problem is that if this relationship is not true, is fake, that's the problem.
Dunque, per quanto riguarda la mia esperienza, soprattutto nel passato, ho sempre girato pensando a un'idea e in qualche modo la durata veniva fuori dopo. Cioè non ho mai pensato prima a voglio fare un cortometraggio, voglio fare un mediometraggio. Era come se il materiale mi parlava una volta girato e la durata in qualche modo usciva come a seconda del momento in cui chiaramente mi trovavo. Non si capisce. Sì. E per quanto riguarda questo film in particolare, che abbiamo fatto in 2, invece il problema della durata si è posta certamente, anche se anche qui il materiale in qualche modo a un certo punto ha iniziato a parlare da solo. Però è vero che il film all'inizio durava più di 2 ore, durava 1 ora e mezza, quindi in qualche modo penso che sia anche giusto porsi la questione dello spettatore, no? Di chi guarda. Però penso... Sì.
So, as far as my experience is concerned, especially in the past, I used to always film thinking of a certain idea, and then the duration would come later. It's as if the material itself would talk to me, and told me like, this is going to be a short or a long feature film. So I never really thought about it before or during the filming itself. Depending on, of course, on the moment that I was living in. In this particular case, because there were two of us working on the project, of course, the duration was immediately some kind of issue. Although in this case too, the material had a very relevant importance in the decision. But it's true that at the very beginning, the duration was much longer. It was over 2 hours.
E sicuramente esiste ancora il problema della durata legata al mercato, perché io penso che appunto è vero quello che dice Giovanni, l'importante è essere sinceri e veri in quello che fai, però comunque ti devi rapportare, per fortuna purtroppo non si sa, comunque a un mercato, e quindi porti la questione di chi ti guarda, però credo che sia una risposta individuale che ognuno ha e ognuno vive come può e può rischiare, non rischiare, conformarsi, non farlo. Ognuno è libero o non libero di fare quello che crede.
But then, of course, you have to take into consideration also the audience, the viewers, so the market, actually. And as Giovanni said, and I agree, it's important for the filmmaker to be as honest and as truthful as possible. But at the same time, I think that fortunately or unfortunately, there's a market there, and there's an audience, and we are supposed to account for that. Then, of course, we're free to take a risk or not take a risk, or be more or less honest, or take that more or less into account. I mean, everybody's free to do that anyway.
Just to close our conversation, my last question is for Jim. From your point of view, from your observatory, yes, we are in the middle of a revolution, of course. Yes, especially we are dealing with the effect of the video games to cinema through the special effects. But very often in a revolution, there are some moments of quiet situation. So, do you think it will change a lot in the next few years? You're not a magician, of course, but from your point of view, from what you see and you know from the Hollywood production, do you think that in the next 4 or 5 years we have to expect new transformations again, a new moment of revolution, or the idea of cinema will be spread like nowadays through between the cinema of marvelous image, the new technologies, and the cinema of reality, cinema of hearts?
I think there will be more experimentation in the coming years. I'll tell you, first off, in 1999, with the new millennium starting, I wrote an article predicting what show business would be like in 25 years. By 2005,
so
everything was wrong. So, because things moved so fast. But I think what you were talking about, the kind of the stopping the definition between this is a documentary, this is a narrative film, but in terms of storytelling. I mean, again, to go back, Alfred Hitchcock in 1950 did a film, I think it was called Stage Fright, where a character is telling people, here's what happened. And it was a 10-minute sequence, and then at the end you find out that was a lie. And Hitchcock said you cannot show the audience something and then tell them later that it's a lie. But it's like, you can do that now. I mean, in terms of Inception, people, you don't know what's imagined and all that kind of stuff. I think audiences are more sophisticated. I think the bottom line is, again, technology will change. But I think, to go back to what everybody's saying, artistry will always prevail. And people will always disagree. I always think in the Olympics, you're either the fastest or you're not. You either broke the record or you didn't. But people are still debating films that were made, 70 years ago. Is that a great film, or is it just not a good film? And Ingmar Bergman said, with his films. He said he said they're like Rorschach tests. You know, Rorschach tests, those ink blot tests. He said some people look at my films and they freak out, and some people look and say, I don't see anything. It's just a bunch of dots. I don't get this. So you know, and I think that's true of every film. But I think if you don't have to decide ahead of time. I'm only going to make short films from now on. I'm only going to make long films. I mean, video games can go 20 hours. I've seen films that are 5 minutes that are brilliant. So I think it's we will just continue breaking down boundaries. But ultimately, the audience will always respond to artistry.
Thank you so much to everyone. Thanks for